So we're going to look at technique today, you guys, for the one-hand backhand where we're coming over the ball. So this is not a slice backhand lesson, it's a topspin backhand lesson for the one-hander.
A lot of my students do play the one-handed backhand, and I see that their non-dominant hand oftentimes has nothing to do with the stroke. And I would like to make sure that you understand it is very important to utilize your non-dominant hand. Let's start with placing the racket into your non-dominant hand. What you want to do is, you want to hold the racket by the throat, and you want to ensure that at least one finger, preferably the index finger, is actually touching the string.
I want you guys to start to really hold the throat of the racket pretty firmly with this left hand, because this really is a big help in setting the right position in the backswing to help drive the ball correctly, okay?
When I initiate my take back and my turn, I'm controlling this take back with my left hand, not my right hand. Even if I take my hand completely off with only two tips of my fingers at the grip, I still have a very solid foundation just because it's resting in my left hand. And that is very, very important.
If the left hand is doing its job, you guys, after I make that turn, the tip of the racket should be pointing pretty much straight up to the sky. Be really careful you guys aren't just turning and setting the racket laterally. Keep the tip of the racket up. At this point, I like to make kind of a reverse C shape. So you're going to see the racket make this C shape, at which point then I let go of the left hand on the bottom of the swing.
My left hand is still on the racket. And only now, as I start moving towards the contact point, is when I release my non-dominant hand.
What I see a lot is, you know, we go to make that move, and right in about here, the left hand drops down, and we get that kind of spaghetti arm looking one-handed backhand where there's no thrust, there's no pop. It just kind of wiggles out from behind you and bumps the ball forward.
And now when I come up and out to my target, you see how my left hand is still playing a role. It's not just staying down here. If I did, it would look something along the lines of this, something a lot of my students do.
There should be a really nice pinch between your shoulder blades at the end of the swing. So coming in off the bottom, when I swing and I finish, I've got a nice pinch between my shoulder blades right now. And the way to achieve that is feel like this left hand really reaches back towards the back fence. And again, that will help the racket really release outward. A lot of you guys and girls out there who are using a one-handed backhand are utilizing a step, but I want to transform that into what I think is more of a lunge, because the step sometimes translates, when I'm watching club level players, into too short of a distance between the feet when you guys make that move to transfer your weight. Get a little more weight onto your left leg. Essentially what we're doing there is widening our base. All right, so our weight goes farther forward. We're going to get usually a little better below the tennis ball, because the farther that right foot comes out, you guys, the more I can drop. So let's really start to work on widening that base. Get that right leg really kind of structured out here. Feel that right leg flex when you guys transfer your weight forward.
I want you to focus on three specifics that are going to help to improve the one-handed backhand if you do deal with consistency issues. Number one, I want you to keep in mind to maintain a high and balanced finish out in front, okay? So the arm is higher than the shoulder. Really looking at having a high finish. Number two, I want you to maintain a stable wrist and keeping that tip of the racket over to the left side in that finish position. Keeping the tip over to the left side as long as I can. See, I'm not using the wrist very much. I'm trying to get up and out so I get nice clearance over that ball. And number three, I would like for you to maintain a stable finish position for a little while on balance before you go back to the next shot to make sure you execute these progressions. And my finish position is very steady. I'm very much on balance. There's not much wrist action going on. You will have noticed that I only played down the line because that's the higher part of the net, and that further emphasizes the three elements that I talked about.
And talking about the end of the swing, really often I see the finish on a one-handed backhand just look a little bit too stiff. where the right hand and the wrist are really kind of clutching the racket and not allowing the racket to make this nice move up and out. And you can see I'm only doing that with my wrist. And that move, you know, keeps me relaxed. It allows me to hit through the ball in pressure situations comfortably, but it also makes the ball explode off the racket. You know, that right there, you see Federer do that all the time, even when he's jammed up. Federer can get away with almost kind of even waiting and even just making that move. That just got a ton of spin and a ton of height over the net.
I oftentimes encourage my students to work only on one of these elements at a given time so that you can really hone into them.
So go out, practice. I think you guys, if you can add those kind of incrementally into the arsenal, you're going to really enjoy the results.
Oh, what a backhand!